Hello, I'm Dana Arias, the author of Dear Parents from Your Child's Loving Teacher and a teacher librarian in the Chicago area. So last week we talked about those initial woundings and how it is that those initial woundings, that initial wound that really hurt us at some point in time, created all these other little wounds when somebody would do something or say something to us, not meaning to necessarily, but it would add to that. And even though it looked like it was healed because it was closed, it still wasn't necessarily, because the wound was still in the inside. And I took a wallet and I explained that. Well, today something happened to me that touched that initial wound. But what I want to explain to you first is, what is that initial wound? At least in my case. Well, in my case, I have something that's called dyslexia, which means that when I was growing up, I struggled tremendously to learn how to read and write. I mean, truly, I struggled. It was a struggle for me to get to learn how to read and write. And with that, you see your friends growing up and you see them reading, you're in first grade and they're reading, somewhere around October, they're starting to pick up and they're starting to read. And I couldn't. And somewhere around May, I started to read and they were already reading fluently and they were getting ready to go on to second grade. And when you see that, that makes you feel really dumb, downright stupid. And when you're little, sometimes you don't have those tools to internalize it and to understand that you're learning in a different way. It's not that you're stupid, it's just that you're different. And that makes it really, that created in me an initial wounding. And so today, I was trying to learn how to manage this thing with Google Classroom, and so many of us right now as teachers are having to use Google Classroom to be able to get lessons to our students and get these things going so that so that our students can continue learning, your children can continue learning. And for some reason, this one thing was just beyond baffling me, and I was kind of starting to lose it. So I called this other person for help, and bless her soul, she is struggling too because she's working at home and she's got little kids. So when I called her for help, and that is part of her job, she was like, well, this is what you do. You do this, 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 and this, and this, and this. And she did it for me. But I did not learn it because she just told me what to do and she did it. But she didn't teach me how to do it, because there's a difference between just telling you how to do it and actually teaching you how to do it, right? They're two very different things. And I realized that when I said to her, hey, I just don't get it, she was looked at me with these what do you mean you don't get it kind of eyes. And maybe they were not those, but my initial wound at least interpreted them that way, be it that it were or were not. So I started thinking to myself in my, lovely little head, once I hung up, I'm not good at this. I kind of stink at this. I can't do this. And I started putting myself down. And when I realized that, I had to stop, truly stop, and make a conscious effort that I was not treating myself very kindly. So I started to question what I was thinking of. And I could feel it because my shoulders were just starting to kill me. Like when, you start going down that rabbit, hole and the muscles start hurting. That was me. And so what that ended up happening was that I have to realize that, and that was my first initial thing, the shoulders hurting. That's when I realized something is not going here. So I had to stop and think for a moment. And it was is it true that I'm not capable of doing this? Well, no. I've been faced with many challenges with technology, and every single one of them I've mastered. Maybe a lot of tries, but I've mastered it. So maybe I need a little bit more practice, but that does not mean I'm not capable. How far have I come? So this is where I started, and this is where I'm now. Gosh, I'm 3/4 of the way there. With this new technology, by the time, that I've put into it, which is, just a few weeks, and I've mastered, all of that, all of those individual little skills. to get to this bigger skill, I'm doing pretty amazingly well. So I had to see that and for myself and look at it and understand that it wasn't what this person did. It was what I was thinking about it that was bringing me down. So then what do? Well, I started feeling better, but I still had that kind of angst. So I finished everything that I had to do, like, the meetings and all those things where I have to be like actually present. And then I said to my daughter, okay, let's go out for a walk. And it's quarantine, so we walked around the block a few times, with our mask and the whole 9 yards. And when I came back, I was able to sit down and actually finish the job. But I realized that I was not treating myself as my best friend. I would expect my best friend to treat me, because my best friend would treat me with kindness. And I need to be my best friend. I need to treat myself with kindness. So I hope that this example helps you out and that you can notice these patterns. When somebody touches an initial wound, what is it telling you that needs to go back and heal? And then can you question what is hurting? Why is it hurting? And if you do that, I think that you're going to be doing a really good job for yourself, and I hope that that helps. And with this, I want to leave you and say good night and thank you. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good night.